Hi everybody, I thought it was time that we had a bit of an owl update. The little owls are now just over 2 weeks old, so they've grown quite a lot considering that by 6 weeks they'll be fully feathered and already flying. So compared to last week, they've already grown so much. Yesterday their eyes started to open, so that typically happens between 10 and 15 days, and they were pretty lazy, so it's taken them sort of 14 to 15 days to open their eyes, and they're now starting to adjust to using those. Before that point, they basically relied on me touching food against the side of their beak to tell them that there was something to eat. And they're currently being fed 4 times a day. So I normally do a feed when I get up first thing in the morning, mid-morning, middle of the afternoon, and then evening. So we space them out at sort of 4 to 5 hour intervals. When they had just hatched, they were on sort of 5 feeds a day, and I do sort of more little and often so that they've got chance to sort of process smaller amounts as they get used to eating. But they're on 4 feeds a day. They'll soon drop down to 3 feeds a day. Now these guys are going to go to their new homes in the next couple of days. I know every one of the falconers who is taking on these birds, and they're all going to be trained as educational birds, so they will basically work with the falconer, and when they're fully grown they will learn to fly and they will get free flown as part of educational programs. I have to say they're actually one of my favourite owls to work with because although they are really tiny, they're absolutely full of personality, and now that their eyes have opened and they've started to walk around a little bit, they do a sort of stompy bum wiggle, and they can get from place to place. A couple of them are just starting to use their little legs now. They're just absolute comedians. So if you watched the little owl videos, you might have remembered that there was actually another owl that I was talking about then, and he was still in the egg. He was a tawny owl. Well, this is him here, and you probably noticed him in the footage today at the beginning with the little owls. Obviously, he doesn't look anything like them, and he's actually 3 days younger than them, so he hatched a little bit later than the little owls who you saw hatch. But his story's a little bit different. He didn't do quite as well as the little owls, and he actually needed helping. Now, when he was due to hatch, which was 48 hours after I saw him externally pip for the first time, I realised that nothing was actually happening. He hadn't progressed inside the egg. So he had initially pushed through the shell, but nothing had happened after that. And I realised that quite quickly, if I didn't do something to help, then this chick just wasn't going to hatch at all. Now, this is a really hard decision because if we go in too early, things haven't shut down properly and the chick will die anyway, because there's lots of little blood vessels inside the egg that are all linked to the chick. But I got to a point where I knew that this chick had to be intervened with, and so it was time for me to manually hatch. And so I opened up the shell to begin with, and I peeled back little bits of that outer shell until I could see what was going on. And it became quickly clear that actually he'd got stuck in the membrane. He wasn't able to push through and then therefore work his way around the shell, pipping each bit and basically creating that opening. So he had wasted 48 hours worth of energy not really doing anything at all. So he was absolutely exhausted. Now, once I managed to open back bits of shell to see what was going on, I was able to gently wet the membrane of the egg with a paintbrush, very, very gently, and that shows up all the blood vessels that are in the membrane itself. It then became clear that the blood vessels had all shut down, so the chick was ready to come out, but he had no way to do so. So over the next 45 minutes, I gently worked away at the egg, breaking pieces back bit by bit, and basically helping the chick out of the shell. Now, it's not something you can rush, and you can't quickly crack the shell open because A, it will shock the chick because he's been positioned in a certain way, and B, if I rush on too far ahead and he's not ready, then he could bleed to death. So I had to make sure I was going at the right rate for the chick. Now, luckily, he was absolutely fine and everything had shut down. His yolk sac had retracted and all the vessels had no longer had any blood flow. And so I hatched a very, very tired chick. I put him in the brooder and let him rest, and he had one tiny piece of food that first day. For the next few days after that, he did struggle to eat, and I really had to help him to feed to get that energy back. However, after 3 or 4 days, he turned a corner, and it was either going to be make or break. And at first I didn't have much hope because you have to be very realistic. But it actually turned out that this little nugget here really actually was okay. And he picked up once he had some good food in him and got some energy, and he's gone better and better from there. He's twittering at the minute because he's just had his dinner, and they get a little bit grumpy post dinner, so you can see he's getting tired. He's sort of snuggling down in my hands, and he'll go back under the brooder in a moment. You can see, if I show you his wings, that he's actually got lovely little feathers just appearing there. He's already growing so fast, and as I say, he's not even 2 weeks old yet, and he's already bigger than the little owls. But he is absolutely stunning in his own way. His eyes are open, except that when he's tired and he's eaten, he can't be bothered to keep them open. And the clue that he's a tawny owl are those lovely pink eyelids he's got around the edge of his eyes, and that's probably the most telltale sign of him being a tawny owl chick. He's also got these absolutely massive feet, and you can see that although he's quite small, the feet on him are absolutely huge. So baby birds tend to grow into their feet because his feet are his most important defence in the nest. They can use their feet long before they can fly. You can also see that he's got that huge thick layer of fuzzy down on him, and that's what keeps him warm. So over the first few days, that thick layer of fuzz grows on him, and that really starts to hold the temperature to give him better climate control. In another 4 weeks, he'll be fully grown and pretty much ready to fly. So it's just stunning how quickly these guys grow, and he will look different day to day. Within another week's time, he'll look totally different. So this little chap's going to go up to Scotland to a friend of mine, where he'll be used as an educational ambassador. So he will be free flown daily, and it will give those guests a chance to see tawny owls up close. I really believe in the educational flying because without getting up close to these guys, for a lot of people, they don't really connect with birds of prey. And it's birds like this little tawny owl here that lead the way in helping us to connect with the wild birds of prey that are in our world, and hopefully give people a desire to want to conserve them as well. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon.